Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing another tutorial video, and that will be covering the double stable strategy. And I'm almost hesitant to show this video because the more people using it, the worse the strategy will get, because more and more people will be making pikes. And obviously pikes are the nemesis of the double stable strategy. The reason behind that is rather obvious. Now, the plan of the double stable strategy is to get nearly 30 knights and 40 bowmen to go along with it. And this will be an extremely powerful army, able to stop anything that comes your way, with the exception of very large quantities of pikes. Small amounts of pikes you can beat if your enemy is not out shooting you and not completely surrounding your knights. But with enough bows at your back, you should be able to do enough damage to them either way. Now, to get 30 knights and 40 bows, you need a lot of leather, and you need a lot of horses. For this, you need a lot of farms. At 30 minutes in, you should be having your armor production started and 6 farms, along with a swine farm and a stable. Now, this is quite a bit of building you need to get done by then. And you're going to have to compromise by having slightly worse gold production than normal, and that's because you need fewer recruits, as your strength is in quality rather than quantity, and you will need later iron, and that's the biggest thing that will help you buy more time to get more farms up, having later iron. If your first armor smithy goes up at 30 minutes, then you'll be just fine. At 32 minutes, you really need it running. If it's any later, you're going to have problems. But you can catch up shortly after peacetime. But at 60 minutes, if you want 30 knights, you really need that running around, armor production running at 30 minutes. Another key factor is high starting resources or large fishing potential on a map. And that is an obvious boost to any strategy, but the double knight really requires a lot of building very early. So if you start with 60 timber and a high amount of starting food, will make it easier as well, as you're able to get stables out earlier and earlier. Back in the desert, I would even for sure recommend building a stable before a swine farm. But on this map, I do believe I make a swine farm first. Anyway, we'll get going, as I don't want this video to be an hour long. We'll do 2 times speed in a little bit. Right now, we'll just start off on 10, as the beginning is going to be similar to anything. Other things you want to keep in mind: you never want to do the double stable strategy if you have a 1 versus 1 situation, as you are really going to be outspammed by a lot. And if your enemy makes any pikes at all, well, then you have no choice but to attack those pikes with your knights. Whereas in a team game, 4 vs 4 for example, if a couple of players aren't making pikes, you can always send your horses to those players and have your ally back you up with some swords against the pikes. So you see, just pretty basic build. We have a quick woodcutter and stonemasons going up. Quick sawmill is of course important. As soon as that sawmill goes up, we're going to be wanting to make some farms. And we want that gold as soon as possible, because the sooner we get that gold done, the later we can build our second metallurgist, and a second metallurgist or gold smelter takes actually quite a bit of resources, since you need an additional coal mine and an additional gold mine, plus the roads necessary to build those mines. In the end, it really slows you down. The reason I wait to make this coal mine is because I don't necessarily need it so early. I want it going up around the same time as my gold mine, a little later, as fine also. You see our first farm is going up before 12 minutes, which is very nice. On this kind of strategy, you can never have a farm too early. Gold mine up before 12 minutes is good for any strategy. Okay, and here we go. Slow it down a little bit. You can see I'm building farms both in the north and the south. It's nice to, you see I'm going to build more than just these two farms up here, likely. I'm not absolutely certain if I put another one here. I think I don't. But one way or another, it's nice to build early on if you're making more than one farm to make them separate from each other. And that way I'll have corn growing down here and out here. So if I make additional farms down here, they'll be supplying additional corn to my production right away instead of waiting around for a while to grow additional corn. I'm really short on laborers right now, as the massive amount of farms I'm putting up. Massive, I should say. I have quite a few farms going up, and farms take a lot of time from the builders, since they need to plow the fields. And you can see that these farms up here aren't really working for that reason. And you can see these farms are delayed quite a bit. This gold smelter is delayed a lot because of the time I'm putting into plowing fields and building farms. So even though I had a nice and early gold mine, my gold smelter ended up being late, and for that reason my gold mine will stop working for a little while, which isn't a huge problem in and of itself, but that my gold smelter is late, it definitely is a problem, as I will have to build my second gold smelter earlier than I want to, which is a real bummer on this location since the next gold mine is kind of far. However, I will be taking the gold from down here instead, as I really want these trees. You can see I still haven't caught up with fields, and I still need to build my inn. And there's woodcutter up here as well. It's about time to make my iron mine as well. I want my iron mine up around the 20-minute mark. A little later is okay. In fact, a little later is perhaps ideal, as farms take a higher priority right here. And you can see before 20 minutes even I have four farms up, which is pretty nice. This will enable me plenty of corn. And here my iron mine is getting ready to be constructed. Additional farms being put up. And I see my corn here is about ready to be cut, and as with any strategy, that is the time when you should start putting up your pig farm. If you were going stable first, then you'd want to make sure there was a little bit of extra corn, or wait a little while longer once you start seeing it wave in the wind like this. As just one farm cutting is not going to be able to supply a stable at all. It's going to be very inefficient. So if I was going stable first, I'd wait till some of the corn over here started waving, or at least got a little closer to that point. But at this stage, it's really not necessary to make a stable so early when I'm making, or when I'm doing this strategy. Now this here is definitely a mistake. Is you never want your sawmills to stop working, ever, in any strategy. It's In some strategies, it's even more important to keep to that. I'm not too worried since I still have plenty of timber in the storehouse. But either way, it would have been nice to have these trees being cut. And these are up here cutting even earlier. And in fact, if I wouldn't have been so far behind on making fields, this guy would have been done sooner, if you recall correctly. And you see my swine farm will be done in nice timing. Having some problems with stones. That's a problem I regularly have, and that's something I need to work on myself, is remembering to keep up with stone production. It's easy to overlook, but running out of stones is probably the worst thing that can happen to your city, with the exception of terrible starvation, of course, but it's really slows you down, and it's really, like, stone is so easy to get, the buildings are so cheap, and it's so readily available, that it's really just shameful for that to happen. You can see I'm making this tower down here, and the purpose behind that is I want to put a gold smelter right here, but these tiles here are a little unfavorably elevated. Though I think putting the tower here is a mistake. I think that doesn't help at all. Maybe even makes it worse. Nope, it did help. Okay. And that's a trick. You can always use stones or road plans to elevate, but of course that costs a stone and some time for the serf to deliver the stone. So if you have the room available and the ability to do so, putting a tower or similar small blueprint can help you elevate the land. And it's definitely time to start focusing on iron production. So my iron smelter is getting ready to be constructed. Alright, and I see these guys down here are starting to look at some wavy corn, so that means more corn production. Time to make my first stable. I always like to have my coal mines done before the building that demands coal, as coal mines work rather slowly in comparison to buildings that consume coal, especially the iron smelter, which is a coal hog, and the weaponsmithy, which also consumes a lot of coal. Now, looking at what I have right now, I have 5 farms. 5 farms is enough for 2 pig farms and a stable. It's almost a perfect combination. And at this point, I have 1 stable and 1 pig farm, so I can support 1 more pig farm. Or, I can build another farm and make another stable instead. In this case, I go for 2 extra farms, which is probably more corn than I need. And I think I will have some extra corn piling up because of that. But it will be used in the end anyway. You can see 30 minutes is coming up quickly. So I really need to focus on getting armory workshops done. Or excuse me, armor smithies. Heavens, not workshops, that would be ridiculous. Food is still very nice. But either way, I'm going to start fishing as there's a lot of fish. I believe 60 in this pond. Your fisherman takes roughly 1 fish out of the pond per minute. So, it'll take about 60 minutes to gather all of this fish. Which is longer than most games at this point. You know, 30 minutes in plus 60 minutes is an hour and 30 minutes. Most games don't last... Well, not most games, but a lot of games don't even last that long, so this fisherman should work for the rest of the game. Having an extra iron mine earlier than your second iron smithy is always a good idea. As this will, as I always say, iron mines work slower than iron smithies, but not by a whole lot. I might say in other videos that the iron smithies work much faster, but when you consider that 2 iron mines produce quite a bit of extra iron ore than 1 iron smithy can use, it's not too much of a problem to wait a little while, as especially since your iron mine's up quite a ways before your first iron smithy anyway, so you'll have extra iron ore piled up. But you can see already that this guy is producing iron bars at a faster rate than collecting iron ore. So this iron mine needs to be done soon, otherwise it's going to start losing time. The bigger problem right now is the lack of coal, and perhaps even the lack of timber. I do have a third sawmill up, and recently another woodcutter down here, and he's got plenty of trees to work with. So I'm not worried at all about the wood production. Coal mines are very cheap, so it won't be hard to catch up. I have additional extra gold chests, so I do have the option to turn off my gold chest production, or excuse me, turn coal down in my metallurgist, but at this point my coal isn't that disastrous, so I leave them running, which is the right decision. Now if I were to have, say, 20 gold chests, or 25 even, inside my storehouse, then I could consider slowing down coal to my metallurgist to help encourage these guys to keep running. You can see this barracks here, very, very low on timber. And 8 farms now, which will supply, let's see, 4 farms on 2 swine farms, and then I'll have an additional 4 farms, which can supply 3 piggies. Not perfectly, but rather nicely. So you can see at this point I'm quite far behind on my corn consuming buildings, even though this guy here isn't really cutting and these 2 aren't cutting at all. Well, this guy maybe will cut a little bit up here, but that's irrelevant, as it's so little it's not worth mentioning. So I really need a second stable up and a second piggy for sure, and that'll run nicely. If they were up right now, that would be good. but I would be a little short on corn since both of these aren't working, or both of these aren't cutting yet. You can see I have lots of traffic along this road here, so this road is direly needed, but I have so much building that needs to be done that this road is going to have to wait. Another problem with this is that this gold mine is going to be running out soon. And the pony brigade is on. Would have been really nice to have this road done before the barracks went up. And you can already see some corn piling up, but I think that's more to do with serfs being distracted carrying ponies to the barracks and armor to the barracks at this time. See, my iron production is just a little inefficient right now. Now, since I'm not planning on getting 40, not even close to 40 swords and armor, I like to just do one weaponsmithing on a strategy like this. Not all the time, and I'm not even sure I do it this time. But for that reason, it's nice to have the weaponsmithy as early as possible. So he's able to produce the large amount of swords demanded for gathering 30 knights. Additional roads to help with the large amount of traffic that always seems to collect around stonemasons. And here we go, second piggy done. Will help with food and leather production. And you can see lots of corn piling up. This piggy was definitely needed earlier. And additional serfs were also needed, as you can see these buildings are empty on corn. And these are full, so perhaps the bigger problem is not the lack of corn consumers, but corn deliverers. Swordsmith will make swords a little more than 1 per minute. So he should be able to get 26, 27. No problem if he works non-stop. I'm not sure how long it takes before citizens start eating when they're trained at the school. I think it's... Well, yeah, I do know, because you can start recruit production around 18 minutes. So he will eat before peacetime is over, which is a problem. I won't be getting 30 swords with just one swordsmith for sure. And perhaps a second weaponsmithy is needed. We'll see if I do it. I can't remember, as I did play this game a while ago. And you can see with 60 serfs alone, I still have idles, and that's simply because I don't have my wooden weapon production going yet. After your wooden weapon production starts, you really need that 74 serfs at least, perhaps even more, depending on how large your base is. And you can see this isn't working, and it really should be storing gold chests at this point, but it's not a huge problem, especially since, well, I am missing a gold mine, so that's probably why I'm not worried about it at all. As one gold mine isn't going to be able to keep up with 2 metallurgists at all. Normal is, of course, 1 gold mine per metallurgist. And here I go, second weaponsmithy, because this one alone is not going to keep up. Or, well, he'll eventually catch up, but not well after peacetime. And everyone's always so impressed with peacetime armies, so we'll get that second weaponsmithy going. It's about time to make recruits, but I'm still a little short on serfs, so always make your serfs before your recruits if you need serfs, because, well, it just gets harder and harder to catch up as you wait. And you don't need the recruits until the 60th minute, whereas you need the serfs right away, so common sense just to make the serfs first. And you can see it's about 17 minutes to go. I already have 8 horses. One stable produces on average about 1 horse every 2 minutes. So with 2 stables, I will be making 1 horse a minute. But it's a little random the way they work, so I could get anywhere from 15 to 20 horses in the next 15 minutes. With 84 serfs, that's even a little extra. 80 would have been enough. But 84 is good. But anyway, with 84 serfs, I am ready to start making recruits. At 15 minutes to go. I have 4 iron mines, really nice to keep up with the double weapon smithies. 9 coal mines, it's really not enough for this amount of coal-consuming buildings. 9 is enough for the formula. A number of coal-consuming buildings plus 1 is how many coal mines you need, but I really prefer having 10 when you have these many buildings consuming coal. If I had those 9 coal mines up a ways before this second weapon smithy, then yeah, I suppose it could work fine, but as soon as one of these coal mines stops working, it's really going to be hard to keep up. With my tannery done at around 40 minutes, it's always important in any strategy. I like to have my tannery done at 25 minutes left to go. But here it's fine. I have 2 armory workshops working, so that'll give me plenty of leather armor. I'm a little worried about food, just a little worried, and I realize there's plenty of fish left in here, so I go ahead and make another fisher. Won't hurt at all. Another reason is because I see that Siem down here didn't take fish here, which normally this location, well, I shouldn't say normally, but oftentimes he will put a fisherman, like right here, for example. And he didn't, so I took that as a message to make another fisherman myself. And here we go, 9 farms is enough to keep my corn production running nicely. The distribution is also important, keeping things running smoothly. You can see here, if I were to change it right now, I would say 3 iron bars to my weapon smithy. This coal, it's also nice. 3 to the armor weapon smithy now is what I do these days. But I'm always adjusting these, changing them. I find lower numbers to be more reasonable than higher numbers. As it's a real bummer when, let's say, this one weapon smithy has 4 iron bars and this guy has none. And serfs aren't the most clever people around, so that kind of thing happens. You can see here, 84 serfs is definitely extra. But they'll have something to do when the towers go up. The reason I have 5 timber in my weapon workshops, though, is I'd rather them be in here than in the storehouse, and I have plenty of extra timber at this time. Okay, and the build is done in essence, so we'll just speed it up. I go for a bakery, as I clearly have lots of extra corn lying around. And with 9 farms, I am going to have a little bit of extra corn. If ever I see that I have a shortage, I can always trade about 2 or 3 wooden shields to corn, 1 wooden shield to 1 corn, and that'll help keep up. In fact, having a wooden shield is the best thing you can do for having a market-reliant economy. In fact, wooden shield is by far the best thing in the game when it comes to trading. One wooden shield gives you one gold ore, coal, or iron ore, and one wooden shield to one corn, like I just mentioned. But also, interesting trade is one wooden shield to one bread, one loaf of bread. And if you're starving, just tell your armory workshops to make wooden shields, and in 5 minutes you can have plenty of bread coming from your market. It's a really quick and easy way to alleviate hunger. Because for that reason I like to make one less wooden workshop, or one less weapon workshop for how many sawmills I have, and that way I have extra timber for the purpose of making wooden shields. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to stop this 1 second after peacetime. Okay, 2. Because, oh, there we go. As you can see there, I had 2 horses that were just a couple seconds late, and who cares, really? I don't care if you're all worried about peacetime armies. But anyway, here we go. I do have 30 iron shields in here, so I can make 30 knights if I had the horses. I'm just shy of 30 horse, and just shy of 40 bows, but either way, at 60 minutes, this isn't a bad army at all. And if you want an explanation of the pike, it was an accident. I accidentally made a pike. So I have a pike commander for my horses. It's very nice. He'll teach them what to fear. And we'll quickly go through the armies. You see here, where are the pikes? Where are the lances? I don't see them anywhere. Where are the pikes? Where are the lances? Where are the pikes? So we see 6 lance. That's nothing to fear. Where's the pike? Where's the lance? So none of my enemies. There's a grand total of 6 lances. And as long as people are playing like this, the double stable strategy will be extremely potent. On my team, even, you see Kiez having quite a few horses himself. Where are the lances? Same Spina, very fast, making knights. We'll assume 10 knights or so, but still. And poor Sado having a off game on location 5. But either way, where are the knights counter the pike, the lance? And the fighting isn't so interesting this game, but we'll see what a double stable can do. One thing it can do is run to Sado and help him out when he's low on soldiers. Nice fish snipe. I wonder if Bludmaster notices that. And okay, yeah, he does. But here you go. That kept him out anyway, so that alone was worth going double stable, perhaps. And we'll see what he does. Does he decide to go pike? No, still, even after seeing that amount of horses, players are oftentimes too stubborn to make any pikes at all. And even Bludmaster, the hater of horses because of how easily he believes they are countered by pikes, which they are nicely countered, but still doesn't make pikes himself. So even though theoretically horses are easily countered by pikes, players just simply don't make pikes. And as long as that is true, there will be merit in making this amount of horses. Plus, it's fun. It's always fun to command knights. VIP had a pretty nice game, actually. Location 4, one of the best in the remake. Mexican T plays an awesome game on this location. But anyway, keeping most of his army inside his barracks at the moment. Well, maybe not most, but a large part. A very large amount of axe fighters here. Unusual to see so many soldiers hold up here. Bludmaster just doesn't want to be rushed over this bridge, I guess. And I wonder, did they scout? Yes, they did scout here. Oh, no, they didn't. Very nice of them to not scout us. I wonder, did we scout them? Yes, we did. Very rudely scout. That's not nice. Ooh, nice horse by Siem. Normal maneuvers. Bludmaster responding by sending some knights down. Still has a lot of soldiers locked up here. For the amount of visibility he has, not sure why he keeps so many soldiers up here. And we'll see how this strategy is going to do in late game. You can see plenty of extra swords. Okay, I stopped both of them. That's smart. Even at this point, maybe I should make another armorist maybe. In fact, I should. Definitely should. And I make another farm just to make sure I never run out of corn. Perhaps it's not needed. You can see I already have lots piling up. So maybe I'm planning on making another swine farm. That's probably what it is. In hopes to continue spamming the most. But you can see the not really any significant starvation. Hunger, yes, but not starvation. So even late game, the strategy is doing nicely. You can see I'm making a second tannery even, as this guy has more work than he can handle. That's not always true. One tannery can sometimes keep up with 3 piggies. I believe. I could be mistaken. But there are times, because of the unbalanced way they produce the skins, the swine farms produce skins. Sometimes they'll have a whole lot of work to do, and other times they'll have just an average amount. At this point, VIP should... Okay, yes, he does have 3 metallurgists, but he really should have made it down here. And so this coal runs out quickly. And you can see it's already running out. And these buildings won't be supplied well, especially because he only has 2 coal mines up here, but 3 coal-consuming buildings. At this point, I really should kill off some builders, because that will help my city more than will hurt it. This is a political commander. He's not a chieftain. He's just staying back, enjoying the nice little stream here as his men go to war. And here we have a engagement. VIP got a little too aggressive and lost all of his axe fighters here without getting many kills at all. And Daan also being a little overly aggressive. Bludmaster realizes it's time to aid in the fight, so he sends his knights to bottom, but there's just too many of my horses here. So he's has to stay back, otherwise it'll just be surrounded by him. So Weekend comes here to assist, but I just send more horses down. And in the end, I almost went down to actually be the person who aided in the fight, but they were winning on the bottom, and they decided, Weekend and Bludmaster decided to stay up here anyway. And they have a lot. Their army is quite stronger than ours, so Sado and I push back, or flee, and not fast enough. You can see we're gonna lose some. But actually, we get out of there pretty quickly. But I don't have anything about it. And Bludmaster retreated in miscommunication, and you can see it right here in this. They don't see anything up here really. Bludmaster went back, Weekend went forward, and this is where Knights shine. Players will always make mistakes. Even good players like Weekend make mistakes. And Knights, because of their speed, can react to enemies' mistakes faster. And that's one of the many reasons Knights are so nice, is they're just so quick in comparison to foot soldiers, and you can react to enemy mistakes much faster. And theoretically, no, players won't do things like this, but in reality it does happen. Good players make mistakes all the time. And Knights are able to capitalize on those mistakes. It's something that's very hard to measure. How often you're going to be able to do maneuvers like this. But if I had just made sword fighters, or just one stable, this battle here would not have played out like this. There we go, my pike commander leaves with his lance signal. Bludmaster, you think that he might have considered running up in here and trying to kill Sado's economy, but perhaps he's thinking Sado's doing a good job of killing his economy himself. Maybe he was right in that assumption, if he was assuming it. But more than likely, he was just worried about his bows here. He didn't want to leave them out to dry. But really, with this amount of bows and the amount of knights, his soldiers aren't able to compete. On the bottom, more or less a stalemate. But here at top, clearly Weekend is not going to be able to hold out much longer. And they might make a last-ditch effort to charge on this base, but really it's GG either way. And I believe Weekend quit at this point, actually. Yeah, he did. So I leave Weekend's base, because there's really no point in attacking him. We could just quit at this point, but we continue playing either way, until these guys are said they've had enough. Just one of the many nice things about Knights is they can move from one side of the battlefield to the other faster, and on big maps like Final Frontier, it's really useful. Okay, and at this point the game is essentially over. And I'm pretty sure I'm just buffing my stats at this point, so we'll just pause it because that's lame. It's really lame. I can admit it. But either way, Here we go, Bludmaster having the most produced by just a hair. He did quit a little before me either way, but most kills by me by far because of Weekend's little miscommunication with Bludmaster there. Weekend producing less than others because of him also leaving well before everyone else. But the main point of this game is seeing here we see almost the most troops trained just behind Bludmaster, and Bludmaster is the master spammer. So I'm not, and he was on a spam location. So this number here, I want to stress here that this double stable strategy worked really nicely when it comes to spam. I'm trying to find the right word. There were no constraints on my spam because of double stable. You might think, hey, you won't have nice numbers, but here you can see that's simply not true. And the amount of kills is very nice as well. You compare horses to Bludmaster, and you can see the additional units he made were, you can see it's not militia either that I was making. But anyway, this is a much improved version of the olden days when we had a rush where the idea was to get 35 to 40 knights, and of course you're not going to get that amount when you're going for bows as well, but 40 knights is better when you're rushing your opponent. But rush is kind of frowned upon these days anyway. Nobody really wants to finish the game 10 minutes after peacetime. So nobody really rushes anymore anyway, so this is a kind of the revived version of the rush, of the horse rush. 30 knights and 40 bowmen, and I hope that I see the strategy a little bit more often, as it's fun to play, really fun to use, and I hope this also encourages people to make pikes, and it would be nice to see more diversity in the amount of types of soldiers in the battlefield. You can see here there's exactly one pike made this game, and that was on accident by me. And you see the amount of lances made. No one made 20 lances. And hopefully that changes when we see more and more of the double stable. Anyway, I hope you learned some things from this game, and I hope to see you around for another shoutcast or tutorial. Bye-bye.